Welcome to Coins News Daily. What if I told you that a simple Kennedy $half in your pocket could be worth thousands of dollars? Most people ignore these coins every day, but collectors are secretly paying huge money for rare versions. In today's video, we're going to reveal the most valuable rare Kennedy $half coins in the United States of America that could change your life instantly. So make sure you watch till the end, because one small detail could turn your 50 cents into a fortune. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks with love for watching. Top 1. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood coins in American history, a coin that quietly sits in collections and old drawers but can sometimes surprise its owner with hidden value. The 1967 Kennedy $half with no mint mark. At first glance it may look ordinary, just another silver coin from the 1960s, but the deeper you go, the more interesting the story becomes, and by the end of this video you will understand why collectors pay serious attention to this piece. To really appreciate this coin, we need to travel back to the 1960s, a time of major change in the United States. The Kennedy $half was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. It quickly became one of the most collected coins in the country. People were not just spending them, they were saving them, holding on to them as a piece of history. Now here is where things get interesting. By 1965, the United States was facing a coin shortage. Silver prices were rising, and people were hoarding coins. To fix this problem, the government made a major decision. They removed mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967. That means the 1967 Kennedy $half officially has no mint mark, and this was done intentionally to discourage collectors from pulling coins out of circulation. But even though every 1967 Kennedy $half has no mint mark, not all of them are equal. This is where collectors start to pay very close attention. The composition of the coin is 40% silver, unlike the earlier 1964 version which was 90% silver. Even with less silver, this coin still holds intrinsic metal value, and when silver prices rise, so does the baseline worth of the coin. Now let's talk about what truly makes some of these coins rare and valuable. The first factor is condition. Most of these coins were heavily circulated. They were used in everyday transactions, passed from hand to hand, and over time they developed scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. But if you find a 1967 Kennedy $half in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and original luster, it becomes far more desirable. Collectors look for coins that appear almost untouched, with bright surfaces and no major marks. These coins are graded at higher levels, and the higher the grade, the higher the value. A coin that has been preserved carefully for decades can be worth significantly more than a worn example. Another major factor is special finishes. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced special mint set coins instead of regular proof sets. These coins have a unique satin-like finish, somewhere between a business strike and a proof coin. They are not as mirror-like as proofs, but they have a distinctive look that collectors love. If you have a 1967 Kennedy $half from a special mint set in pristine condition, especially with strong detail and minimal imperfections, it can be much more valuable than a regular circulated coin. Some of these coins show exceptional strike quality, meaning the design details are very sharp and well-defined, which adds to their appeal. Now let's move into one of the most exciting parts for collectors: mint errors and varieties. These are the coins that can turn an ordinary piece into something extraordinary. One of the most talked about errors is the double die variety. This happens when the coin design is struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a visible doubling effect on letters or numbers. If you look closely at the date or the word Liberty and notice clear doubling, you might be holding a very special coin. Another error to look for is off-center strikes. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design missing or shifted. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the date, the more valuable the coin can be. There are also clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error before minting. These coins have a distinctive curved or straight missing section and are highly collectible. Die cracks and cuts are also worth mentioning. These occur when the minting dies begin to crack or break, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin surface. Some collectors specialize in these varieties, especially when the features are bold and easy to see. Another fascinating detail is cameo contrast on special mint set coins. While true proof cameo coins are known for strong contrast between frosted designs and mirrored fields, some 1967 SMS coins display a similar effect. These are extremely desirable and can command much higher prices if the contrast is strong and the surfaces are clean. Now imagine this scenario. Someone finds an old box of coins passed down through generations. Inside, there is a 1967 Kennedy half-dollar. At first, it seems like just a nostalgic keepsake. But upon closer inspection, the coin is bright, sharply detailed, and shows a slight doubling on the lettering. This is the moment when an ordinary discovery turns into an exciting treasure hunt. Coin collecting is not just about money, it is about history, detail, and the thrill of discovery. The 1967 Kennedy half-dollar represents a unique period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with materials and production methods, and every coin tells part of that story. Collectors who truly understand this coin know that patience is key. Examining the coin under proper lighting, using magnification, and comparing it with known varieties can reveal hidden details that others might miss. Even the smallest feature can make a big difference. Now let's talk about value, the part everyone is curious about. A regular circulated 1967 Kennedy half-dollar typically trades close to its silver value, often just a few dollars depending on the market. However, an uncirculated example in high grade can reach prices of $50 to $100. Special mint set coins in excellent condition can sell for $100 to several $100, especially if they show strong strike and eye appeal. Coins with exceptional quality or cameo-like contrast can go even higher. Error coins and rare varieties are where things become truly exciting. Depending on the type and visibility of the error, these coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In rare auction cases, top-quality examples with unique features have reached prices in the range of several $1,000s. So the next time you come across a 1967 Kennedy half-dollar, do not ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the details, examine the surface, and consider its condition. You might be holding more than just a coin, you might be holding a piece of history with hidden value. And if you enjoyed discovering the secrets behind this fascinating coin, make sure to keep exploring, because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises waiting to be found. Top 2. We are diving into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked treasures in American coin collecting history, the 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, this coin may seem ordinary, something you might find tucked away in an old drawer or passed along in everyday change decades ago. But what if I told you that certain rare versions of this coin have captured the attention of collectors across the world and have sold for astonishing amounts of money? So stay with me, because by the end of this video you might look at your own coins very differently, and who knows, you might even discover a hidden treasure in your own collection. Let's begin with a little story. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It quickly became one of the most emotionally significant coins in United States history. People didn't just use it, they saved it. They treasured it. They held onto it as a symbol of remembrance. By 1971, something important had changed. The United States Mint stopped producing Kennedy half-dollars in silver for circulation. Instead, they began using a copper nickel-clad composition. This makes the 1971 coins historically significant because they represent a new era in American coinage. Now let's focus on the Denver Mint version, the 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar. Millions were minted, which means most of them are not rare. But here is where things get exciting. Not all coins are created equal, and small differences can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. Collectors are always hunting for coins with unique characteristics. These can include minting errors, exceptional condition, or unusual striking details. In the case of the 1971 D. Kennedy half-dollar, several factors can make certain pieces incredibly valuable. First, let's talk about condition. Most coins from this year entered circulation and were used in daily transactions. Over time, they developed scratches, wear, and dull surfaces. But a small number of coins were preserved in near-perfect condition. These are known as mint state coins, and the higher the grade, the more valuable they become. Coins graded at the very top levels, especially those with strong luster, sharp details, and no visible marks, are extremely rare. Collectors compete fiercely for these pieces because finding one is incredibly difficult. Now let's move on to minting errors, which are some of the most exciting aspects for collectors. One of the most talked about errors is the double die effect. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once, slightly misaligned, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. Look closely at the lettering, especially around the words on the coin, and you might notice this fascinating effect. Another rare feature is the presence of die cracks or unusual strike patterns. These imperfections can give each coin a unique fingerprint, making it one of a kind. Some coins also show off-center strikes or clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a minting mistake. There are also cases where coins have unusually strong strikes. This means the details, especially in Kennedy's hair and facial features, appear sharper and more defined than usual. These coins stand out immediately to experienced collectors. What makes the 1971 D Kennedy half-dollar even more interesting is that it belongs to a transitional period in coin production. The shift away from silver caused changes in how coins were made, and this sometimes resulted in inconsistencies that collectors now find incredibly appealing. Imagine holding a coin that looks completely normal to most people, but to a trained eye, it reveals subtle details that tell a story of its creation. That is the magic of coin collecting. Now let's talk about how to identify a valuable piece. Start by checking the mint mark. The letter D, located on the coin, tells you it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the surface carefully under good lighting. Look for sharp details, strong luster, and any unusual features like doubling or errors. It's also important to avoid cleaning your coins. Cleaning can damage the surface and significantly reduce the value. Collectors prefer coins in their original condition, even if they show some natural aging. Another key factor is grading. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign a grade. This grade plays a major role in determining the coin's value. A difference of just one grade point can mean a huge jump in price. Now here comes the part you've been waiting for, the value. Most 1971 D Kennedy half-dollars in circulated condition are worth only a small amount above face value. But when you step into the world of high-grade coins and rare errors, the story changes dramatically. Coins in uncirculated condition with strong eye appeal can sell for tens to hundreds of dollars. High-grade examples that reach the top levels of preservation have been known to sell for several $1,000s. And rare error coins, especially those with clear double dies or dramatic minting mistakes, have reached auction prices in the range of thousands to even tens of thousands of dollars depending on their uniqueness and condition. Yes, a coin that many people overlook has the potential to be worth an incredible amount of money. So next time you come across a Kennedy half-dollar, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Examine the details. You might be holding a piece of history that is far more valuable than it appears. Coin collecting is not just about money, it is about discovery, history, and the thrill of finding something rare and special. The 1971 D Kennedy half-dollar is a perfect example of how even modern coins can hold incredible secrets. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins, make sure to keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep checking your coins. Because hidden treasures are out there, waiting to be found. Top 3. We are diving into one of the most fascinating hidden treasures in American coin collecting, a coin that many people have seen, many have spent, but very few truly understand the real potential behind it. Imagine holding a simple 50-cent coin in your hand, something that looks ordinary at first glance, but in reality could be worth far more than its face value. This is the story of the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that quietly sits in collections, drawers, and old jars, waiting for someone to recognize its true worth. The Kennedy half-dollar itself carries a powerful legacy. First introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination, the coin quickly became a symbol of remembrance and national pride. Over the years, millions of these coins were minted, and they became a common part of everyday transactions. But not all Kennedy half dollars are the same, and the 1972 D mint mark version holds secrets that only experienced collectors truly appreciate. The 1972 D Kennedy half dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark on the coin. At the time, these coins were produced in large numbers, and most of them entered circulation. Because of this, many people assume they are not valuable. But this assumption is where the real opportunity begins, because rarity in coin collecting is not always about low mintage. Sometimes it is about condition, striking quality, and most importantly, errors. Let's talk about condition first, because this is where the biggest difference in value begins. A circulated 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, one that has been used in everyday transactions, typically shows wear on the high points of the design. The hair details of Kennedy may appear flattened, and the eagle on the reverse may lack sharpness. These coins are usually worth only their face value or slightly more. But when you step into the world of uncirculated coins, everything changes. An uncirculated 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, especially one with strong luster and minimal contact marks, becomes far more desirable. Collectors look for coins that appear almost as they did the moment they left the mint. The shine, the crisp edges, and the clean surfaces all contribute to higher value. Coins graded at higher mint state levels can command significantly higher prices, especially if they display exceptional eye appeal. Now let's move into the most exciting part, the errors and varieties that can turn this ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. Error coins are the heart of modern coin collecting, and the 1972 D Kennedy half dollar has several known varieties that collectors actively search for. One of the most intriguing aspects is the possibility of double die errors. These occur when the coin is struck with a die that has been improperly engraved, causing a doubling effect on certain design elements. On some 1972 D coins, you may notice slight doubling in the lettering or on the date. While not all doubling is valuable, strong and clear examples can significantly increase the coin's desirability. Another important factor is strike quality. The Denver Mint in the early 1970s sometimes produced coins with weaker strikes, especially on the reverse side. Coins that show a fully struck eagle, with clear feather details and strong lines, are much harder to find. These well-struck examples stand out among collectors and can bring higher premiums. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other minting errors that occasionally appear in this series. These types of errors are highly collectible because they are unique and visually striking. A 1972 D Kennedy half dollar with a dramatic error can be worth many times more than a standard coin, especially if the error is clearly visible and well preserved. Another hidden factor that collectors pay attention to is toning. Over time, coins can develop natural colors due to oxidation. While some people prefer bright, shiny coins, others are drawn to beautifully toned examples with shades of blue, gold, and purple. A naturally toned 1972 D Kennedy half dollar with attractive coloration can command a premium, especially if the toning is evenly distributed and enhances the coin's overall appearance. It is also important to understand the role of grading. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them a numerical grade. A difference of just 1 or 2 points can dramatically affect the value. For example, a coin graded in the mid-mint state range may be affordable, but the same coin in a near-perfect grade can become extremely valuable. This is why collectors carefully inspect every detail, from tiny scratches to the brilliance of the luster. Now imagine going through a box of old coins or a family collection and finding a 1972 D Kennedy half dollar. At first, it may not seem special, but with a closer look, you might notice sharp details, strong luster, or even a small error. This is the thrill of coin collecting, the idea that something overlooked could turn out to be a hidden gem. Collectors around the world continue to search for high-grade examples of this coin because top-quality pieces are surprisingly scarce. While millions were made, very few have survived in pristine condition. This creates a strong demand among collectors who want to complete their sets with the best possible coins. And now, let's talk about what everyone is most curious about, the real market value and auction potential of the 1972 D Kennedy half dollar. In circulated condition, this coin is generally worth around $1 to $2 depending on its wear. In uncirculated condition with decent quality, it can range from $5 to $15. Higher grade examples, especially those with strong strike and eye appeal, can reach values between $50 to $150 for coins in top mint state grades, especially those graded near perfect. Auction prices have reached several $100s. Exceptional examples with outstanding quality and eye appeal have been known to sell for over $1,000 in competitive auctions, and if you add a significant mint error or a rare variety into the mix, the value can climb even higher, sometimes reaching into the thousands depending on the rarity and visual impact of the error. So the next time you come across a Kennedy $50, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, check the date, find the mint mark, and examine every detail. Because hidden within that simple coin could be a piece of history, a collector's treasure, and possibly a surprisingly valuable discovery waiting to be revealed. Top 4. We are diving into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood coins in American numismatic history, the 1973 Kennedy $50 with no mint mark. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, something you might even pass by in loose change or an old collection, but hidden within its simple appearance is a story of history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery that keeps collectors searching year after year. To truly appreciate this coin, we need to go back to the early 1970s. The Kennedy $50 had already become a symbol of national memory, first issued in 1964 after the tragic loss of President John F. Kennedy. By 1973, the coin was no longer circulating widely in everyday commerce. Instead, most $50s were being produced primarily for collectors. This shift is incredibly important, because it means fewer coins were handled, fewer were released into circulation, and far fewer survived in high-quality condition. Now let's talk about the detail that sparks so much curiosity. The missing mint mark. On most United States coins, you'll find a small letter indicating where the coin was made. Philadelphia traditionally used no mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco used D and S. So when we say 1973 no mint mark, we are actually referring to coins struck in Philadelphia. But here's where things get interesting. Even though Philadelphia coins didn't carry a mint mark at the time, not all 1973 $50s without a mint mark are equal. The real intrigue lies in condition, strike quality, and rare errors. Because these coins were mostly produced for collectors, many were included in mint sets. However, not all mint sets were preserved carefully. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and handling has reduced the number of pristine examples. This is why collectors pay such close attention to coins graded at the highest levels. A 1973 Kennedy $50 with no mint mark in perfect or near-perfect condition becomes significantly more desirable, but condition alone is not the only factor. Let's explore the errors and varieties that can transform an ordinary coin into a valuable treasure. One of the most talked about features is doubling. Doubling occurs when the coin die shifts slightly during the striking process, creating a subtle but visible duplication of design elements. On a 1973 Kennedy $50, this might appear in the lettering, especially in the words Liberty or In God We Trust. Collectors carefully inspect these areas under magnification, hoping to find that telltale sign of doubling that can elevate a coin's value. Another fascinating possibility is die cracks and die breaks. These happen when the die used to strike the coin begins to wear or fracture. The result is raised lines or unusual shapes on the surface of the coin. While some people might see this as damage, experienced collectors recognize it as a unique fingerprint of the minting process. Each crack tells a story of a die that was pushed to its limits, and coins bearing these marks can attract significant attention. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin design is not perfectly aligned. Imagine a Kennedy $50 where part of the design is missing or shifted to one side. These errors are visually striking and immediately stand out. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectors are drawn to it. Clipped planchets are another rare and exciting error. This occurs when the metal blank used to create the coin is improperly cut, resulting in a missing section along the edge. A 1973 Kennedy $50 with a clean, curved clip can be highly collectible, especially if the rest of the design remains sharp and clear. Let's not forget about luster and eye appeal. Even without major errors, a coin can be incredibly valuable if it has strong original luster. When light reflects off the surface in a smooth, cartwheel-like motion, collectors know they are looking at a well-preserved piece. Combine that with sharp details in Kennedy's hair and the eagle on the reverse, and you have a coin that stands out in any collection. Now imagine the excitement of searching through old coin rolls or inherited collections and discovering one of these hidden gems. Many collectors describe this moment as pure adrenaline. The idea that a seemingly common coin could hold unexpected value is what makes coin collecting so addictive and rewarding. It's also worth noting that the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was not produced in massive quantities for circulation compared to earlier years. This relative scarcity adds another layer of appeal. While millions were minted, the number of coins that remain in top condition or with desirable errors is much smaller. Collectors often debate what makes a coin truly valuable. Is it rarity, condition, historical significance, or visual appeal? The answer is a combination of all these factors. The 1973 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar sits at an interesting intersection of these qualities. It may not be the rarest coin ever produced, but it offers enough intrigue to keep collectors searching and studying. If you're a coin enthusiast, this is a piece you should examine carefully. Look closely at the details. Use a magnifying glass or a digital microscope if you have one. Pay attention to the lettering, the edges, and the overall finish. Sometimes the smallest detail can make the biggest difference, and for those just starting their collecting journey, this coin is a perfect example of why knowledge is so important. Two coins that look identical at first glance can have vastly different values depending on subtle characteristics. Learning to spot these differences is what transforms a beginner into an expert. As we reach the final part of this journey, let's talk about value. A standard 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark in circulated condition is generally worth only its face value of 50 cents. In uncirculated condition, it can range from a few dollars up to around $10 to $20 depending on quality. However, coins in gem condition with exceptional preservation can reach into the range of $50 to $100. Now when it comes to error coins or those with strong doubling, off-center strikes, or other significant minting anomalies, the value can increase dramatically. Some of these rare examples have been known to sell for several $100s, and in exceptional cases with strong visual appeal and high grading, auction results have reached into the thousands of dollars. So the next time you come across a Kennedy half-dollar from 1973, don't overlook it. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a small piece of history with a story to tell and a value waiting to be discovered. Top 5. We are diving into a fascinating piece of American coin history that many people overlook but serious collectors quietly hunt for. Imagine holding a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, something you might even find in loose change, yet hidden within its details could be a story of rarity, subtle errors, and surprising value. This is the story of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that doesn't scream rarity but whispers it to those who truly understand what to look for. The Kennedy half-dollar itself carries emotional and historical weight. First introduced in 1964, it honored President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. By 1973, the coin had already transitioned away from its earlier silver content, becoming a copper-nickel-clad coin. Because of this, many people assume that coins from the early 1970s hold little to no value beyond face value. But that assumption is exactly what makes certain examples of the 1973 D so intriguing. The D mint mark tells us that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1973, millions of these coins were struck for circulation. On paper, this sounds like there's nothing special here. A high mintage usually means low value. But in coin collecting, rarity is not always about how many were made. It's about how many survived in exceptional condition and how many display unique characteristics that set them apart from the rest. Now picture this. A freshly minted 1973 D Kennedy half-dollar leaves the mint with a sharp strike, brilliant luster, and flawless surfaces. It enters circulation, passes through countless hands, gets scratched, worn, and dulled over time. Fast forward decades later, finding one of these coins in pristine condition becomes incredibly difficult. This is where condition rarity comes into play. Collectors often look for coins graded at the highest levels, especially those with strong eye appeal. Coins that have never been circulated, known as uncirculated coins, are much harder to find for this year and mint than people realize. Many were simply used in everyday transactions and never preserved. This means that a truly high-grade 1973D can command serious attention in the collector market, but condition is only one part of the story. Let's talk about minting errors, because this is where things become even more exciting. Errors are like fingerprints. No two are exactly the same, and some are so rare that they can transform an ordinary coin into a highly desirable collectible. One type of error collectors search for is the double die. This happens during the minting process when the die used to strike the coin has a misalignment, causing a doubling effect on certain design elements. On a 1973D Kennedy half-dollar, this could appear in the lettering, especially in the word Liberty or the motto "In God We Trust." When this doubling is strong and visible without magnification, it becomes extremely attractive to collectors. Another fascinating error is the off-center strike. Imagine a coin that wasn't properly aligned when struck, resulting in part of the design missing and a blank crescent shape on one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more visually striking and collectible the coin becomes. There are also clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a flaw in the metal blank before it was struck. These errors are easy to recognize and often very popular among collectors because of their unusual shape. Then we have die cracks and cuds. Over time, the dies used to strike coins develop cracks due to stress. These cracks can transfer onto the coin as raised lines. In some cases, pieces of the die break off, creating what is known as a cud, a raised blob of metal that can appear along the edge of the coin. These features may seem like flaws, but in the world of numismatics, they are prized as evidence of the coin's journey through the minting process. Another important factor is strike quality. Even without errors, some 1973D Kennedy half-dollars were struck more sharply than others. Details in the hair, the eagle's feathers, and the lettering can vary significantly. Coins with exceptionally sharp details and strong luster stand out immediately to experienced collectors. Now imagine you're searching through old coin rolls or inherited collections. You come across a 1973D Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But as you tilt it under the light, you notice something different. Maybe the luster is unusually bright. Maybe the details are sharper than expected. Maybe there's a subtle doubling in the lettering. That moment of discovery is what makes coin collecting so addictive. Collectors often spend years studying coins like this, learning to identify small differences that others might miss. It's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the connection to history, and the satisfaction of recognizing something rare hidden in plain sight. Now let's talk about preservation. If you believe you found a high-quality or error coin, handling it properly is crucial. Always hold the coin by the edges, avoid touching the surfaces, and store it in a protective holder. Cleaning a coin can actually reduce its value significantly, so it's best to leave it in its original condition. Grading is another key step. Professional grading services evaluate the coin's condition and assign it a grade. This grade plays a major role in determining its market value. A small difference in grade can mean a huge difference in price, especially for coins like the 1973D where top-grade examples are scarce. As we come to the value, this is where things get really interesting. Most circulated 1973D Kennedy half-dollars are worth only their face value. However, uncirculated examples in lower mint state grades can sell for a few dollars. As the grade increases, the value rises significantly. In high mint state grades, especially those with exceptional eye appeal, the value can reach into the hundreds. Coins with strong strikes, brilliant luster, and minimal imperfections are highly sought after. If the coin features a notable error, the value can increase even further depending on the type and visibility of the error. Dramatic off-center strikes, strong double dies, or unique planchet errors can push the price into the hundreds or even thousands. At auction, top-grade examples of the 1973D Kennedy half-dollar have reached prices in the range of several hundred to over $1,000 depending on condition and quality. While rare error examples can achieve even higher results when collectors compete for them. So the next time you come across a Kennedy half dollar, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Because hidden within that small piece of metal could be a story, a rarity, and possibly a surprisingly valuable treasure waiting to be discovered.